This is a video about Warhammer books, Age of Sigmar books, what to read, what's good. Hello, this is 60 Goblins and 1 Brush. My name is Chris with another video about Warhammer Age of Sigmar, this time about books. What books can you read? If you happen to have some time on your hands for some reason, there are some very nice Black Library books you can read. I wanted to make a video about this for quite some time now. The time has come. There's, of course, Soul Wars, which is the book about Soul Wars, about the battle between Sigmar and Nagash and all those caught in between. It's explained how the Stormcast Eternals are made, Archon is featuring, it has everything. It's quite good. It's not one of the best Warhammer books, but it's worth the read. Then the very first Age of Sigmar book, War Storm, features 3 stories. The first one is called Born by the Storm by Nick Kime, and is about Corgus Cool and Vander's Hammerhand. The Khorne hero versus the Stormcast Eternals hero is very well written. This is really, of all the Age of Sigmar stories and books, this is the best I've read so far. I read some others. Recently I listened to Realmslayer as an audiobook. It's well done, but it's not as good as the other Gotrek and Felix novels as the old ones. William King is one of the best Black Library authors, and he wrote 7 Gotrek and Felix novels. Gotrek is a dwarf, a slayer, and Felix is a human being, a bard and swashbuckler who accompanies him. He's his chronicler. He's writing down his life story, his doom. Gotrek tries to die all the time and fights against all kinds of monsters, and it's hilarious. He never dies. He's indestructible. And Felix is always accompanying him and thinks, my God, now why am I doing this? The first one is called Trollslayer, and it's actually a collection of stories. It started off as a collection of stories, like now. Most of the Age of Sigmar books are not actually books, they're stories, they're short stories. Not very well written often, but the first stories about Gotrek and Felix of William King are quite well written, quite funny. Geheimnisnacht is one of them, and about mutants and whatnot. Very well done. The second one is called Skavenslayer. It's about Skaven. Yeah, we have Thankwall and Bone Ripper entering the Gotreks and Felix saga, and they will remain. They're the big adversaries. Gotrek and Felix versus Thankwall all the time. It's really amazingly well written. From the perspective of Thankwall, sometimes it goes back and forth. The perspective really good. Then the third is Demon Slayer. That's my favorite book of all the Gotrek and Felix books. It's about them traveling with the first skyship. Yeah, what is now the KO faction was invented back then already. The first skyship made by a crazy dwarf, also a slayer. Malachi Michelson, and they travel into the Chaos Wastes trying to find some lost dwarf kingdom and having to battle greater demons and so on. It's really, really well done. Then you can buy always 3 books as an omnibus now. The 4th book is called Dragon Slayer. Guess what they have to kill in this book? Lots of orcs and goblins, that's for sure. The 5th one is called Beast Slayer. A huge army of Tzeentch is destroying the empire of Kislev. Kislev is the faction of the empire that has been announced to be revived for the new game that will come out in a few years about the old world. The northernmost kingdom was called Kislev. It's the Russians basically, and they were the bulwark against the chaos. And they come crashing down towards the Reich, and there's a big battle, and in the midst of it, who's, of course, there, Gotrek and Felix. Then the sixth one that is also really good, Vampire Slayer. It's about a vampire who's trying to revive, who's trying to bring back the old glory of Vlad von Carstein. Very well done. And the seventh is called Giant Slayer. I haven't read it yet. I've read these 6 and they're amazing. All the other Gotrek and Felix novels are not written by William King, and I heard they're not as good, but I don't know. I can't say. Talking about vampires. The Vampire Wars. It's 3 books written during the time of Vlad von Carstein, and I've read the first one so far, Inheritance. It's very good. It's really good. The other books are Dominion and Retribution. Then we have Tyrion and Teclis. You can buy another omnibus with 3 Tyrion and Teclis books. The first one is called Blood of an Aryan. I read parts of the books of this book in my videos. It is really well written. It's about Tyrion and Teclis when they were youths and just coming of age, and how they became these big heroes they were later, and now they're gods. Yeah. Second one is called The Sword of Caledor. They're looking for the Sword of Caledor, which was one of the most powerful artifacts of that time in the world that was. And that one is okay. All these books are also written by William King. That's why I thought, okay, they must be great because Gotrek and Felix are so good. But the second book is not so good. The third one is called The Bane of Malekith. I haven't read it yet, but it could be great. I mean, the way Malekith is depicted in these books is really well done. It's really well done. It's not so easy. It's really well done. Morathi too. So if you're interested in elves, dark elves, high elves, whatever, you have to read this. And now, the best last. Nagash, The Rise of Nagash. It's again an omnibus made out of a few books. Nagash the Sorcerer, Nagash the Unbroken, and Nagash Immortal. Those books are by far the best Warhammer Fantasy and Age of Sigmar books ever written. I'm sure. I have not read them all, so it's an unqualified statement. But this is hard to top. These books are as good as any other fantasy books of high renown. They can easily compare with any great fantasy author, except maybe the Silmarillion. That's so high up there, it's hard to reach. Yeah? If you haven't read the Silmarillion by Tolkien, read it. If you have read it, but it's long ago, read it again or listen to it as an audiobook. There are really, really great audiobooks in English out there with amazing narrators. But apart from the Silmarillion, this is up there amongst the great fantasy books, in my view. Another thing you could read if you're into elves and want to know how the idea came up that high elves are riding on dragons is Elric of Melniboné by Moorcock. But within the realm of Warhammer Fantasy, I'm not going to say anything about Warhammer 40k books because that's not my expertise. But the fantasy section, The Rise of Nagash, it's a really good book. Sometimes with the Black Library you think, okay, I'm reading it because I'm interested in the fluff, but it's not so well written. I wouldn't normally read it. That's why now I recommended some books to you that are really well written. The Blood of an Aryan, The Vampire Wars, and at least the Inheritance book, all the 7 Gotrek and Felix books by William King, and The Rise of Nagash, the 3 books about how Nagash becomes Nagash. The whole civilization of the Tomb Kings of Khemri, before they became the Tomb Kings, when there was the first civilization in the world, that was the first human civilization. Okay, that's it for today. Tell me what you think. Did you read any of the books so far I mentioned, or have you any other suggestions of great books, especially of Age of Sigmar books? I haven't read them all, so I'm sure you have read some that I haven't read, and maybe there are some recommendable. So please leave your comments below. Thank you for watching, thank you for subscribing, and see you very soon.